Hello, welcome. Hi everyone. Hope you're doing well today. I originally was gonna do art, but since I made dinner and I'm soon gonna be in about like I don't know 8 minutes. I'm gonna have to check on my laundry. I decided I may as well just do a chill stream. Just why not? Why not just do a chill stream? I'm also exhausted from work and um let's just say experiencing my first cycle is quite interesting. Of course, I had a lot of communication between two special mods who usually aren't here this late. Maybe one of them is here this late, but the other one not so much. Uh, but yeah, I say it's quite interesting. Also, also, I gotta say, god damn it, my nipples were so fucking sensitive. It literally felt like I was getting zapped if I try to do anything, including breathing. Including breathing makes my nipples zap me. Anywho, why the fuck? I still have to, like, oh, oh, I'll play it out. Oh, no, that fix it. Alright. Anywho, I made dinner and I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna have my dinner. Alright. We said, go. Alright. There we go. Here goes nothing.
It's all the same thing. They seem to think, well, it's out of sight, out of mind. Like, I don't have responsibility over this item whatsoever anymore. They're definitely going to put it on the floor and somebody is going to want to buy my shit. Well, you couldn't be further from the truth and actually what is happening with the shit that you donate, because obviously a lot of that does get sold and it does actually make it somewhere. But at least in my area, I see a lot of people who just go to the salvos or Vinnies and they will just leave a bunch of broken, dirty shit outside. Like, it is pissing down with rain. Given the fact it is a Monday, I have seen many bags driving past and they've all been rained on, which means that now the thrift cannot use any of it because it has been damaged. So I think that is a good factor to talk about within donating things and how you should donate them. But I truly think that thrifts wouldn't be having so much of a crisis with finding where to put all of this stuff if people really just thought about what they were buying, like actually thought about it instead of just wanting that dopamine rush, having something being sent to them in the mail. And Ralph Lauren Christmas really is no different. The fact is, there will, like emphasis on will, there will be another aesthetic TikTok trend for Christmas, and you know what will happen the year after? Oh, that's right, the exact same thing. Think of when we were seeing a lot of the sad
I fucking hate overconsumption. It's like, why the fuck if you buy something if you're just not gonna use it? And they don't to the thrift store, because it's not either one, valuable anymore, two, it's not profitable.
beige mums painting Christmas decorations white, cream color, tan, khaki, because that was what was trending. But that isn't what's trending currently. Where do you guys think all of that is? Do you think that people just have endless amounts of storage with them, around them, in their house? No, no, no. I have a genuine question for those who follow TikTok trends like these every single year they come about. Why do you do it? Why is it so hard for you to keep a tradition going each and every single year, because I don't know if I
Exactly.
believe the excuse that all of the decorations are breaking every year. The kids are absolutely smiting these decorations with their hatred for the world because their brains are so fried from all the iPad. And once again, that's not to say that you can't go out and get some new decorations here and there, because that is exactly how you create these traditions. Each and every single year you add to that collection. What you don't do is you don't go ahead and buy an entire new collection only for every single year's previous collections to be thrown out as if they mean nothing. Okay, full concentrate.
Here's the thing. Even, as much as I still hate my parents for everything they did to me, even they reused, Christmas stuff. Even I reuse Christmas stuff as well. Because one, saves money. Two, it's still fucking good. Why the fuck would I buy more? Make it make sense.
No, I've already messed up. That's okay. I've got a bit of a fixer-upper here for this fixer-upper. I think just seeing all of these TikToks of people with their entire new hauls of brand new shit that you just know the next year they're never gonna touch again is probably why I am so frustrated and why I am making this video today. Before I stop yapping for a couple of seconds, like, I'll be really honest with you guys. I don't even know if I am going to decorate for Christmas this year, because the one time that I tried to put a Christmas tree up was when I first moved into my current place. My cats, I think they had just turned 1, both of them, and that was in like 2023. So they were just obsessed with attacking the tree, and it would constantly fall over, and I was just so sick and tired of cleaning up the mess and waking up in the middle of the night because the tree would fall down again. And I'm like, is someone in my house? No, it's just my cats being absolute little fluffy idiots. Fluffy heads.
The biggest grift ever
Yes,
is holiday.
I totally agree. Cats can sometimes be fluffy dickheads. And I wish I didn't have one.
Companies coming up with new trends every year to force us to go out and spend what little we have on, like, oh, this year is pink and green Christmas. This year is white and gold Christmas. You know what's far superior? This vibe. This vibe. This vibe, things lovingly collected throughout the years. And
I feel like because the overconsumption conversations made a lot of people real uncomfortable due to the fact that we were finally having to take a look at and confront our behaviors when it does come to overconsumption. Because
Exactly.
a lot of us, including myself, I'm no saint, I'm not perfect when it comes to this conversation. I had to take a look at what I was doing and where I was going wrong and how I was participating in just buying and buying and buying and buying and spending my money as soon as I had it. A lot of us had to do introspection and reflect on that and try.
Okay, chat, I'm gonna check on my laundry real quick. And I'm gonna have the... Oh, fuck. I'm gonna have the video playing, alright? Alright, chat? Matinee!
And try and come to a conclusion of how can we change this? How can we become part of something bigger and greater than ourselves? And for me, I have always had pretty poor mental health. During the pandemic, I feel like that really spiked and it really peaked for me, because when you are just like literally by yourself all the fucking time and you already have mental health issues, yeah, it does just worsen, unfortunately. And for me, I was struggling with suicidal ideation, with thoughts of just like going ahead and not existing anymore, just ceasing to exist. And those thoughts were really consuming me. I had a lot of unhealthy coping mechanisms. Like I was smoking a lot, I was drinking a lot, and then came to purchasing a lot. Like I would just buy whatever was the first thing that Instagram kind of like recommended to me because they seem to know me better than anybody else. So I was just like, buy. With any unhealthy coping mechanism, it has to come to an end somehow. And I think that's why I did so many YouTube videos about overconsumption, because it really was something that it wasn't a genuine problem for me where I needed help and all this kind of stuff, because people have it just way worse than me. I saw people who were just buying like thousands of lipsticks a month, whereas I saw a problem within myself because I was like, I already have this lipstick color and now I'm out here buying the same lipstick color. Like last year, I really thought we were making incredible progress by bringing this topic to, there's a little bit of black eyeshadow on my carpet. Oh no, I'm gonna have to get the Bissell out. I feel like that topic was at the forefront of everybody's minds, and we had trends like underconsumption, and meanwhile it was just really normal consumption. Like you are not supposed to buy new clothes every single day, week. And something that I thought that we were making progress on that I did a video about last year was thriftmas. Like a lot of people didn't like the idea of that because they were still in that like hyper consumption mindset where it's kind of, you know, if you really love somebody, you would get them something brand new. You wouldn't get them something that somebody else has already owned. And I just see that to be really strange. No, there are so many secondhand things that I own that I cannot get brand new anymore. The reason Thriftmas was extremely popular last Christmas was because people just didn't have money. Living is already expensive as it is, and people go on and on and on about shrinkflation, the cost of living crisis, how bad groceries are getting, and then have something to say about Thriftmas.
I'm back.
This is the exact reason, just by the way, that we are going to keep on ending up in these kinds of predicaments, like with the Ralph Lauren Christmas. I feel like, you know, there is so much to say about this topic, and people are just like, oh, you know, this isn't good because the decorations are ugly. Bro, this really doesn't have anything to do with the decorations, because honestly, it just looks like tacky classic Christmas, which I absolutely adore. The problem with the topic of overconsumption is the fact that for a lot of people, it was just a fleeting trend for them. It was fun and cool to talk about because, you know, the masses have never really actually acknowledged such a large issue collectively and all together, because like I said at the beginning of the video, it was quite literally the biggest topic of last year. Why are people ditching these decorations that they already have for a fucking TikTok trend? Like, are we so identityless as a society right now? Why can't we just decorate our houses the way that we want to? Why does it have to always be this core or this aesthetic? Or I fear that a lot of people have no sense of who they are and being themselves. Therefore, we are constantly seeing shit like this. Local H, the kids aren't all right. They are yearning for a deep sense of attachment towards an inanimate object that made them feel a certain type of way at 3:30 in the morning of Christmas morning, shaking those presents around, being like, did mom and dad did Santa? Oops. I don't think I have any kids watching my videos, if I'm being real. And what really captures that emotion for them is that stupid little Santa order.
Meow. Yay. Yay. Hi. Gracie. How are you? Hey. Yay.
ornament on the Christmas tree that's there every single year. But the kids of today just don't seem to have that, and I don't think they ever will.
You do not want a Ralph Lauren Christmas. You want the middle class back, preferably the upper middle class. You want Home Alone. Home Alone felt safe, it felt comfortable, it felt like a good economy.
No, because clock that. As yes, we can call out the hypocrisy of it all when this time last year, we were all anti-overconsumption. And now it almost feels like that never even happened, that never even took place, because people don't seem to remember anything that we talked about. That is exactly.
Here's the bigger issue that I want to stream avatars. Yes, I use stream avatars. But yeah, I'll do this myself. Boom. But yeah, I think, yeah, the stream avatars are customizable.
How I know it was a trend all along, or at least for some people. But to me,
I believe, hold on, let me take a quick look at stream avatars. Quick access. I think it, I forget, why did I note down any of the actual... Okay, where the fuck is... Alright. Because so I customize mine to just be Minecraft characters. I believe the Minecraft, I think you choose one. Server channel platform. Yeah, just use try the extension, see if you can get the customization there. If not, I'll have to figure it out for next stream. But yeah, I believe... I forget. What the fuck? Hold on real quick. I can look it up real quick. Meantime, we continue the video. Alright, hold on.
what this woman is talking about holds so much truth. People want the era back of when they were seeing traditional tacky Christmases, when things actually felt like they were progressing. Regressing is our new norm. Bigotry really seems to be okay again, and most of the population is struggling to live. Need I go on? I feel like that's such a huge reason, especially for myself, why nostalgia and participating in nostalgic stuff has been rampant, has been so popular for everybody over the past year or two. So it really doesn't surprise me that people are wanting that warm feeling back again.
Can't have that. You think you can buy your way into that nostalgic feeling. But what will always be missing from these traditional old money Ralph Lauren Christmases is a good economy.
Okay, so I figured out there's actually a lot of commands. There's dance, there's exclamation point dance, there's exclamation hug, hug insert username, and there's exclamation attack insert username. Why the fuck is there an exclamation fart? There's name tag. Oh, there's exclamation name tag to equip a name tag. Name tags for list available name tags. Oh yeah, exclamation colors to equip a chosen color. Colors choice. Colors and then squiggly bracket colors or squiggly bracket. No, it's exclamation colors, or you have to choose and to do the choice is exclamation colors squiggly bracket choice. Too bad you don't have any. Yeah, I don't think it's you. There's a way to implement custom ones, but there's a lot of work that needs to go into it. I just quickly set up a Minecraft version of it, so yeah, there's that. Also, stream avatars on Steam was just $15 plus a $5 DLC extension.
It's trying to figure out what Kevin McAllister's dad was doing for a living and doing it ourselves. It's having the McAllisters'
Okay.
house not be changed into a gray and white box, but stay that classic father of the bride, late 90s, early 2000s rom-com like traditional home.
Like I
see.
mentioned earlier in this video, you cannot buy that shit. And I mean it facetiously. You know, like obviously
List.
you can buy all of these classical traditional Christmas
All right,
ornaments
there you
and
go.
decorations and try so hard to have that kind of vibe. But the vibe either has to come authentically or it's just not gonna work. Because something that this trend
Figure
has
it
in
out.
common is that the people who are trying really hard to recreate a certain type of vibe, be it that Home Alone kind of Christmas, all of their houses look the exact same because they are following trends with each other. The sad, beige, hospital, white, waiting room, extremely sterile, and neutral homes. So that's also a big part of the reason why this aesthetic does not work for a lot of people at the moment. And that is why trends...
Aw. Thank you. Thank you. Where is my avatar exactly? Either my avatar despawned. My avatar despawned. Oh shit. Hold on, let me join that again. There you go.
such as these fall flat on their faces every single time. It's because the people who are participating in it, it's not true to them. I think I will wear one of my DIY pieces today. I originally got this plain old Kmart, as you can see, because it says hot options. I originally got this top from a Salvo's. I did some basic DIY, sewed this Bring Me patch on, this little charm that I found laying around, and of course, with being a goth, you gotta have safety pins everywhere. It isn't a complete drama queen fit if there isn't a choker!
So no matter how many plaids you purchase, or how many Terrans, what did that lady pop color say? I think she called it a Terran. Something like
I don't think I'll ever pull off an emo outfit or goth outfit either.
that. No matter how many any of that you purchase. Wreaths, weird looking Christmas trees that have those infrared lights that cause fires, the economy's bad. You're not getting the middle class back, and that's what you're looking for. That's the nostalgia.
I really take issue with the fact that yet again, Big Christmas is manipulating the masses with nostalgia. Nostalgia to me, at the very least, is using the exact same thing that I once held in my hands when I was 13. But because there's no sentimental value in really anything anymore, people are chasing the idea of it. I can't even lie to you if I wanted to. I really like this vibe a lot. I think that Christmas should be fun, traditional, classic, tacky, bright in color, actually have color. The problem with this trend though isn't that it is inherently harmful by any means, in that it's not hurting anybody, but I think that doing hauls, buying entire new setups for Christmas is going to hurt us in the long run, because once this trend is over, much like Christmas, it only happens once a year. So what next? what happens after the Ralph Lauren Christmases? Well, we'll just have to wait and see before AI fucking cooks us. This decor is going to be trashed. And yes, trash to me is donating to already overwhelmed thrifts that are currently struggling to hold so much stock. Like, how are people not exhausted of this yet? How do we keep repeating the same mistakes year after year?
Maybe more of humanity has ADHD than we ever thought.
At the very least, Christmas to me, as a non-practicing religious person who doesn't believe in religion, I celebrate Christmas as a holiday to love my family and my loved ones and just celebrating family, whether that be giving gifts or eating food together. That will be remembered for me. Not so much with the Ralph Lauren Christmas. I feel like the only way that I'm going to remember it next year is using it as just another example of hideous overconsumption. These massive companies who are currently trying to prioritize nostalgia are exploiting your nostalgia. You should be focusing on making memories with your loved ones to cherish and love in the future, not try and dress up your house to be just another TikTok trend. But those are just my thoughts and opinions. Yours may differ, and I would love to hear them down the comment section below. Tell me, did you enjoy this Get Ready With Me today? If you did and you enjoyed, you know, just the chill and the chats and the makeup and all that girly stuff, let me know also down the comment section below, because I would
Let's
love to do
fucking
more of
go.
these. I'm going to be shipping out all new orders tomorrow. So if you want to get your order in before the shipment, go ahead to dramaqueen.myshopify.com. Take care of yourselves,
Aww.
and most of all, love your fucking selves.
Ooh. Yippers. I gotta see what's going on. Recommendations. Hello. Okay, what's going on with YouTube? Alright, there we go. Answer. Phone rings. My voice. Okay. Oh, this is all this other one. Interesting right now. This one 5. Ooh, nice, nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, YouTube is shutting down the tech channels. Now, this is not any clickbait, actually. This is actually a grim reality, unfortunate. I wish it was clickbait. I really wish this wasn't a reality. But a channel known as Enderman, who basically is a educational channel about, computer malware. This is a guy that talks about computer stuff, similar in the vein of me, right? I talk about computer viruses. I talk about goofy stuff. I talk about video game preservation. I talk about self-hosting. I talk about things.
Oh, please don't tell anyone got taken it off YouTube. I'm gonna see the update on Twitter because I am gonna be fucking shocked.
Things that keep you out of sort of the big tech matrix. Now, this channel got completely shut down. This page isn't available. Sorry about that. Try searching for something else. Now, why did this channel actually get shut down? So according to Enderman, YouTube shuts down his channel because it was linked to a channel that was terminated. So apparently a channel that had 3 or more strikes ended up getting this channel terminated. Now, what was the channel name? Well, it was this Japanese string of characters. Of course, they've got a channel
Huh?
ID, yada, yada, yada. We've permanently terminated your channel from YouTube. Going forward, you won't be able to access, possess, or create any other YouTube channels. Now, it's interesting to me. I always think a linked YouTube channel is something that, probably falls underneath your actual, YouTube or Google account. Under a Google account, you can always have different YouTube accounts. You can make multiple accounts under a brand account, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, when I looked further into this account, another YouTuber, another group by the name of Scratchit Gaming, ended up showcasing that they also ended up having their channel linked to this mystical Japanese account.
Wait a minute, is there a bug in YouTube where this user can link his account to literally every YouTube account in existence, get himself banned, and get pretty much make a cascade effect to where to where he's pretty gonna eventually take down the entirety of YouTube.
Now, whatever this Japanese account is, I think somewhere in the YouTube AI, it's fucking up and causing tons of these accounts to be tangentially related in some way in this tactical decision, because ultimately I know that there's a fine line, and that line can get very blurry when it comes to computer-related videos, where talking about certain topics can, in fact, put your channel in an undue, crosshair when it comes to this policy. Now, this policy is content that discourages dangerous or illegal activities, right? Now, inside this policy, amongst dangerous and life-threatening situations, firearms, and fucking explosives, lies the digital security content. So any content that talks about instructional theft, right? With the express intent to steal physical goods or get something for free. Now, again, okay? There's a fine line between, I would say, a jokey video about teaching people how to activate Windows with ChatGPT. Look, there's plenty of ways to activate Windows for free. And a lot of those free methods sit on platforms that Microsoft
Such as activate Windows by manipulating the Windows registry itself.
owns. Get up. And of course, obviously, there's a fine line between that content and somebody uploading how to download Adobe Photoshop for free 2025 tutorial. So obviously, there's a big range, right? But
which is always obviously fake.
YouTube's moderation filter looks at all these things and fucking Homelander lasers them out of existence. So then you've got hacking, demonstrating how to use computers or information technology with the intent to steal credentials, compromise personal data, or cause serious harm. Now, even videos that I've made as of this week, I felt could be targeted by this. Videos where I show you guys the hacker perspective of like what a remote access Trojan does. Now, even in those videos, I go through lengths to censor names of tools, and I also use tools that are like 10, 15 years old at this point that are picked up by pretty much even the shittiest antivirus engine, right? I'm never gonna sit there and teach you the current method on how to hack somebody. There's a fine line between teaching people and then making a step-by-step tutorial on how to do something nefarious. So of course, bypassing payment for digital contents or services. So if you show people how to use, I guess, torrent software to download something illegally, that's wrong. And then of course, things like phishing and crypto phishing. So
I just experienced the best net crack ever. It's not the bad one. It's I pop the nitrogen bubble in a way that just feels good.
These are actual, videos, and these are actual methods meant literally for negative purposes. Now, it wasn't just Enderman's channel that ended up getting hit. There was a bunch of other channels like Cyber CPU Tech. He kind of had a video talking about how the tech channels are in danger because YouTube's AI would just jump in and use this harmful and dangerous policy to shut down content. I think nothing is more evident than what happened to 𝙂𝙬𝙬𝙧𝙖, who basically got a YouTube community guideline strike. Yes, right here. When he made this video, I replaced my Apple TV with a Raspberry Pi. You might be like, what kind of dangerous shit did Jeff do? Well, what Jeff decided to do was he decided to take his own media and host what appears to be a Jellyfin server. Now, for anybody that doesn't know what a Jellyfin server is, Do you guys hate using Netflix? You know, like, I genuinely hate most digital distribution services because anytime I go to like Netflix, I watch something that I like, and then I come back like a couple months later, and then suddenly it's like pulled from rotation, you know? Or I can only watch it in a specific country. Now, instead of whipping out the VPN, I've reached a point in my life that instead of paying like $10 or more for each of these services, I take the vast amount of physical media that I actually care about. So for instance, this is John Wick 2, one of my favorite action movies, right? Now I have the actual Blu-ray and HD Blu-ray. So what I do is I take one of these, I back the movie up onto my computer, and then using the Jellyfin server, I can actually host my own version. Oh no. Oh no, my lawyer's telling me to stop. Now, if I get Jellyfin, for instance, and I run it on my own local server, I can copy this movie that I own to that server, and then no matter where I am, even if I'm outside my house, I can stream John Wick 2 in glorious 4K HDR to any of my connected devices. Now, if YouTube considers this to be harmful and dangerous, then I would simply ask how. I'm not telling you to pirate this movie. In fact, don't pirate John Wick 2, okay? All right, there's a lot of people that worked on this movie that deserve to get paid, all right? Simple as that. So here's the thing, but if you are gonna get movies, like for instance, Dexter is a show that I really enjoy now. I got into it, and because I'm scared that Netflix is gonna just take away every season, I ended up buying all of them on sale, like physically, like the actual DVDs and Blu-rays. I backed them up and now I have the entire Dexter show, even the last 3 shitty seasons, on my actual like server, so I can watch them at any moment.
Honestly, that's a good idea. Not only that, because Discrock exists to where Discrock is basically the data on the actual disc, even if you bought the disc, the actual physical media itself, it's it basically has its own expiration date to where it one day won't be usable anymore. So it's a good idea to back up all your media and all your files as pretty much as soon as possible, and if you can, as much as possible.
So that is, of course, something that YouTube at one point considered harmful or dangerous. It even came out to Linus Tech Tips, where one of his videos, De-Google Your Life, ended up getting removed because Linus decided to showcase other tools that could access YouTube unofficially, which obviously YouTube is not a fan of. But of course, on a personal note, I really don't care what big tech says. I just care that you guys learn how to self-host. I love teaching you guys about computer viruses. I love talking about cybersecurity videos. And ultimately, at the end of the day, all right, I am not here to teach you how to commit illegal acts. But I think there's a fine line between people directly uploading illegal acts and people just, you know, teaching, which is obviously something that YouTube didn't put any effort into when it came to banning Enderman's channel. Because Enderman did not produce any videos that were outright promoting any form of piracy from my knowledge, or teaching people how to commit harmful or dangerous acts. You know, it's to a point that I wonder, even in my videos when I showcase things like emulation on a Steam Deck, when is YouTube going to eventually jump in, or when is Google going to jump in and say, hey, showing people how to use, you know, emulators for systems that I guess, you know, some could argue that Nintendo would say that the more recent systems like the Switch or even the Wii U are systems that, you know, you have to circumvent some level of copyright protection for just to get access to ROMs or ISO files for games that you own, which technically could make it against the law, right? Obviously, these are things that have to go to court and whatnot.
Which also brings the fact that, again, when you buy something, when you buy like buy a video game, you don't own the video. You don't own the video outright. You don't own your copy of the video game too. You just own a license to be able to use and to have the privilege of using the video game, even if it's physical media, even if it's completely on disc and you can play it offline. It's not an actual copy, it's a license. And I really want companies to stop saying buy the thing. It should say buy a license for this video game.
But You know, they could make the argument that if you're emulating games on the Switch, or you're emulating PS4 games, or you're emulating games where you have to, you know, violate copyright protection to back up your project, that could technically be classified in the harmful or dangerous category,
Yeah.
right? It's a very freaky line to get involved with, and it's something that obviously every...
God damn it, I got zapped. Fuck. Good chat. I got zapped again. Don't worry, chat, I'm okay.
upload that I do regarding emulation, cybersecurity, computer hacking, anything of that nature, it freaks me out. It freaks any content creator out. I'm making a video, literally, in the next few days, about Hitler ransomware, okay? It was a joke cybersecurity news that got picked up, and it was absolutely, it's actually a hilarious story to go down into. But it makes me wonder if showcasing the leader of the Third Reich in ransomware format is eventually going to not only get the video get hit with like harmful or dangerous content, but maybe even another violation that that YouTube's AI decides to moderate into. You know, it got to a point where even 6 days ago, it was reported that YouTube was taking down videos on performing non-standard Windows 11 installs. So even in videos where I showcased how to go to sites like Rufus and skip some of the Windows 11 requirements, you know, so you can run it on unsupported hardware, and even in videos where I showcased how you can...
Which I don't condone bypassing copyright protections that Microsoft has clearly put in their operating systems to protect it. But if you have like a pretty let's say it's a slightly outdated, but it's still good. The hardware is still good, even though it's slightly outdated, and you cannot upgrade to Windows 11 because of that one goddamn TPM 2.0 chip. Then yeah, do what you can to force your PC to upgrade it. Whatever it takes, force your PC to upgrade it. Alright, to be upgraded. Got it?
Still activate Windows 11 locally without requiring a Microsoft account. Those videos are also, I guess, under threat, not by Microsoft, but by the YouTube moderation AI. Now, look, at this point, I think YouTube's AI system is out of control. I don't actually think a human being is involved here. So at least for Enderman, I'm sure most other people have done this. I'm reaching out to the connections that I have on YouTube just so, you know, they're aware of this, and hopefully he can get his channel back. But for a lot of YouTube tech channels, it's not uncommon, okay, that the biggest fear people have when talking about anything tech related, right? Especially when it comes to interesting topics like self-hosting, like, you know, decoupling your life from big tech organizations like Google that runs this website, that could be considered harmful or dangerous content. Now, I don't know if that content is necessarily harmful or dangerous, or if it's because Google doesn't appreciate the fact that people are kind of slowly waking up to the fact that you can have network-wide ad blockers through Raspberry Pis connected in your home network. Whether people know that you don't need to have a Netflix subscription if you want to watch your content, stream it to any device in your house or through the internet.
Exactly.
You know, maybe they're just mad that, you know, there are games that are being slowly ripped away from ownership that people are able to dig up through piracy, literally through piracy. There are games that are so dead, like Driver San Francisco, that the only way to play them is to fucking pirate them.
Which pretty much since Taylor Game took down the Minecraft Story Mode and Minecraft Story Mode Season 2, the only way I was able to play it in the first place was actually going on a third-party site just to play it.
You know what I mean? So maybe these sites don't appreciate it, but ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, I think it's less that the content is harmful or dangerous, and more that it probably is harmful or dangerous to the bottom line for some of these companies, right? Look, ultimately, at the end of the day, I think for content creators who are making cybersecurity videos or tech-related videos, this is unfortunately something that YouTube has to really address. Because it's not okay that channels are getting taken down, and yet still there are crazy bots, you know, distributing links to, you know, CP-related websites in people's comments, right? It's insane that a lot of these things are happening the way that they are, right? There is so much bad on YouTube, and to see good people get taken down in amongst all of that is infuriating. Now, obviously, this is the reason where I also have an Odyssey channel, and no, I don't expect this channel to be mega popular and me to make thousands and millions of dollars off of it. That's not the point. I easily could have made either a Rumble channel. The point is, if you're a content creator, having a platform where you can upload or mirror your videos to is also pretty important. Because for Enderman, right, his channel gets taken down. And if it was a creator that didn't have alternative backups, that would have been years of that person's hard work. Like literally a chunk of your life just got fucking snapped away. So, you know, alternative platforms are great, but ultimately YouTube's AI has to get its shit together. That said, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. Hopefully, Enderman, you get your channel back. But
Hopefully.
Tech guys, you gotta you gotta be a little careful, man. YouTube's AI is fucking up, and everyone's paying the price for it. I am out.
Imagine YouTube's AI fucks up so hard that it takes down a channel that belongs to one or pretty much a few of their shareholders, and then they have to address it. They're probably just bringing their channels back and not doing anything else for the other channels. But if it affects if this bug, the AI starts affecting this bug, is eventually going to start affecting their bottom line, and then that's when they address it. That they're going to address it when their own bottom line is affected. We saw it with the other moons. Ooh.
Catastrophic planet-wide tides. Catastrophic planet-wide tides flood cities.
I don't want full
pitch
screen.
Black nights, an ice age more powerful than Earth has ever seen, and tungsten-shaded evening skies. This is what would happen if we swapped our moon with other moons in the solar system. And spoiler alert, you're not surviving most of these. Let's start this epic show with the truly titanic moon, Titan. You are used to our regular old moon. You're used to its size, the look of its surface, covered in gray lunar regolith. What you're not used to seeing is this up in the sky. Yeah, that's Titan. This moon of Saturn is a behemoth. It's the second largest moon in the entire solar system. It's even bigger than the smallest planet, Mercury. Unlike Mercury, it's icy cold. We're talking minus 180 degrees Celsius. That's minus 290 degrees Fahrenheit. Its surface is covered with rivers, lakes, and seas, just like Earth, except that these bodies of liquid are not made of water. That's methane, and you shouldn't swim in it. You'd see a big change on Earth if we swapped our moon with Titan. Instead of that silvery white light, our nights would take on a golden orange twilight, and our new Titanic moon would loom larger in the sky, as it's about 1.5 times the size of the old moon's diameter. But Titan is a very special moon. It has a thick, nitrogen-rich atmosphere that stretches almost 600 kilometers into space. So our new moon would appear like a giant, fuzzy orange orb. So far, not a big deal.
Yep.
Unless you have orange. Or
Thank you, Taco Eater, for following. Welcome. How are you doing today? My name is Brandon Mitz. I'm a variety streamer. I stream lots of video games, chat against me, as well as I draw art. I do coding, and hopefully, be streaming 3D modeling to everyone here. Welcome.
rhyming things with orange. But things are about to get terrible for you. Titan
I like learning about space. I've always been interested in our celestial bodies and all that since I was a child.
is 80% more massive than our moon, so its gravity would pull harder.
What? I guess I'm a little cute. Mm.
On Earth's oceans. Here on Earth, that would be a very big deal. High tides would be far higher, and low tides, obviously much lower. Now, we can deal with lower tides,
I wonder, what if we start our moon with another planet?
but high tides would flood our coastal cities twice a day, every day. There would be more erosion and turbulence on every coast.
Ooh.
This would be the only time you'd ever hope you don't own beachfront property, because by now, it'd be gone. Things wouldn't be the same for Titan either. After moving all the way from Saturn's orbit to ours, this moon would receive far more solar energy from the sun. It would start to heat up. For all the methane on its surface, it would be game over. Titan's methane lakes would eventually evaporate. The icy crust would begin to melt, and soon it would reveal the watery subsurface ocean that lies beneath. And that could be a fascinating moment. If any life exists beneath the icy surface in the ocean below, we'd land on Titan's surface and explore it. Now, this ocean could be hundreds of kilometers deep, but it just means there's a lot more to explore and maybe a lot more to find.
Yep.
The bad news is Titan has low gravity. That means it couldn't hold on to all that liquid and atmosphere forever. Over millions of years, it would bleed gases and water out into space, slowly drying out. Yeah, this moon would become just as sad and lifeless as our own moon. Bye-bye, hazy methane orb in the sky. Now, if you thought Titan was big,
Ooh.
this moon is gargantuan. The only moon in the solar system bigger than Titan is Jupiter's Ganymede. It's also the only moon in the solar system that has its own magnetic field. It's about 1.5 times larger than our moon, so by night it would look about the same size as Titan, only instead of an orangish nighttime, Ganymede would shine extremely bright. Yeah, Ganymede is covered in ice, and that icy surface reflects far more sunlight than our moon does. To you on Earth, this rock would now look much, much brighter. That would be bad for astronomers because they wouldn't be able to see so far into space with this new moon overwhelming the sky.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
might have to invest in some better curtains. Well, that's not that bad so far, but stay with me. I saved the most dramatic part for later. Ganymede is about twice as massive as our moon, and its stronger gravity would unleash worldwide megatides.
Fuck. Okay.
Like with Titan, you'd see
There we
coastal
go.
flooding twice a day, wild erosion and wave activity, and
There we go.
some very destructive storms. Ganymede's presence would be earth-shaking, literally. Its tidal pull on Earth's crust could trigger earthquakes and cause volcanic eruptions worldwide. The one upside, if you're around to see it, Ganymede would stabilize Earth a little. Specifically, it would stabilize the Earth's axial tilt. That would mean no more ice ages and a steady climate forever, so Ganymede itself would start to warm up. Now, you might think that the moon is chilly, but in full sun, it can reach temperatures of 125 degrees Celsius. It's 260 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, the moon can get hot. But Jupiter and Ganymede get roughly 1/30th of the sunlight that the moon does. And Ganymede is usually a chilly minus 112 degrees Celsius on its warmest days. It's been cold there for billions of years. As Ganymede is heating up, its immense 150 kilometer thick crust of ice would start to sublimate or even melt. This icy rock wouldn't be so icy anymore. It would now have oceans and water clouds. Beneath that crust lies an extremely deep saltwater ocean. Scientists think it's 100 kilometers or 60 miles deep. You know, in time, you'd go vacationing on Ganymede instead of Cancun. Now, Ganymede has its own magnetic field, and it also has auroras. Imagine traveling far north to see our own northern lights. And there in the background, Ganymede's auroras as well.
Oh, that would
Pretty
be cool.
Ganymede might destroy everything you know on Earth, but it would also become a pretty inviting rock. If you survived all these earthly disasters, well, you could go live there. Okay, moving on to a hellscape of a moon, Io. Io is the third largest moon of Jupiter, famous for its hundreds of volcanoes blasting molten sulfur lava hundreds of kilometers into space. Io is the most volcanically active body in the solar system because it's subjected to a phenomenal gravitational push and pull between Jupiter and its hefty moons, Europa and Ganymede. The tidal forces cause extreme physical distortion and create intense heat, and that heat unleashes itself through endless volcanic activity. Volcanoes and molten lava lakes cover the surface of this virtual inferno, which would make for a pretty phenomenal show the moment we swapped it out for our comparably static moon. Our moon hasn't had volcanoes for millions of years. Io would be spectacular to watch from Earth. By night, it would shine 5 times brighter than our old moon, with a golden orange glow. You'd be able to see Io's volcanoes erupting with a simple telescope. But as hellish as Io might sound, it wouldn't be so bad a companion for Earth. You see, Io is quite similar in size and mass to our moon. You might see a slight increase in tides, but nothing disastrous. And without Jupiter, Europa, and Ganymede constantly playing a gravitational tug-of-war with Io, the new moon would immediately stop being torn by the three-way stress that heated it mercilessly and caused all those volcanoes. Io would cool down, the volcanoes would go dormant, and our new moon would eventually turn cold and quiet, not unlike our current moon. So what would happen if we swapped our moon with another famous moon of Jupiter?
Oh,
Next up, Europa.
Europa.
This is one of the most famous moons in history. Since Voyager flew past Jupiter and Europa in 1979, scientists have been intrigued by Europa's icy crust and the possibility of an ocean beneath it, which, of course, opens up the possibility for life. But Europa has even more surprises. Back in the 1990s, NASA's Galileo spacecraft picked up something odd when it was studying Jupiter's magnetic field. Right in the spot where Europa orbits, the field looked strangely distorted. Now, Europa doesn't actually have a magnetic field, so where was this disruption coming from? Scientists think this answer lies beneath its icy shell. Europa might have a vast underground ocean of salty water, and as Jupiter's magnetic field sweeps past, it stirs up the electrical currents in that ocean. These currents create a temporary magnetic effect, which is what Galileo detected. This ocean on Europa could be up to 150 kilometers, that's 100 miles deep. It's quite a bit for a moon. For comparison, the deepest depth of an Earth ocean is only 11 kilometers, 6.8 miles. So yeah, swapping our moon with Europa would affect you on Earth. For one, Europa's icy crust would reflect more than 5 times the light that our moon does. And it has a lower mass, so our tides would be weaker. Over millions of years, Europa would make Earth's axial tilt a little more unstable and cause some huge climate swings on our planet. But before Europa had a chance to destabilize Earth, you'd have a better look at it. Okay, now you wouldn't have to send a spacecraft nearly 3 billion kilometers, 1.8 billion miles, to study this moon. At just 385,000 kilometers, that's 238,855 miles from Earth, Europa would be just a 3-day trip away. NASA's planning to have people back on the moon by 2027, and that means we could have people walking on Europa in just a few years. Studying the surface, searching for life. Now that is cool. Sure, in time, Europa's subsurface ocean would begin to freeze. Jupiter wouldn't be around to exert the same kind of tidal squeezing it has for billions of years. And
Exactly.
its surface would start to warm up, melting or sublimating its ice. Over time, Europa would go from a mysterious ocean world to a frozen, quiet moon. But in the meantime, maybe we'd find we're not the only ones out here. Okay, up next, another frozen moon, but one that doesn't play by the rules. Triton. Triton is a weird moon. It's the largest moon of Neptune, and it's the only sizable moon in our solar system to orbit in the opposite direction of its planet's rotation. The scientists call this a retrograde orbit. Now, if we swapped not just our moon, but also the direction it's going, that means our new moon, Triton, is going the wrong way. Triton is another one of these highly reflective icy moons that would light up the sky, but it's not nearly as massive as our moon, which means Earth's tides would drop dramatically. Instead of the moon being the primary driver of our twice-daily tides, the sun would take that role. And the sun only exerts about half of the tidal force that our moon does. Over millions of years, lacking a strong lunar anchor, Earth's axial tilt would wander more, leading to unpredictable shifts in climate and more extreme ice ages. But when it first shows up, Triton would put on a show. Bright, retrograde, and sporting ice volcanoes. That's right, outside of Earth and Io, Triton is one of the most volcanically active spots in the solar system. Except it's not spewing molten rock, it's venting cryomagma from cryovolcanoes, which is really just a fancy way of saying it's erupting ice up to 8 kilometers, 5 miles, into its atmosphere. So we'd have a front row seat every night to watch our moon blast cryomagma out into space. Out by Neptune, it's so cold that the ice on this distant moon is made of frozen nitrogen, water, and methane. Triton's surface is one of the coldest places in the solar system, reaching a frigid minus 235 degrees Celsius. That's minus 391 Fahrenheit. Now, being so much closer to the sun, its surface would quickly start to warm up, and all that frozen nitrogen would be vaporized, which could create a thick, hazy atmosphere, maybe even a comet-like tail. Over the centuries, Triton would slowly lose its icy shell, and if it has an ocean beneath it, that would begin to dissipate as well, eventually becoming a smaller, drier remnant of its former shining self. But in its early days, Triton would light up the night and put on quite the show, unlike our next moons, Phobos and Deimos. So far, we've mostly swapped our moon for huge or medium-sized moons, but our next-door neighbor Mars sports a pair of satellites that are tiny. Phobos and Deimos are officially moons, but they might just be asteroids that Mars caught in its gravity and they now orbit around the red planet. Phobos, the big sibling, is only 27 kilometers wide. That's 17 miles wide at its widest point. Deimos is even smaller, only 15 kilometers, 9 miles across at its widest point. And I say at its widest point because we can't even get a normal diameter. These moons are completely irregular. They're also more than 100 times smaller than our moon. And they're covered in craters, charcoal-hued dust, and rocks. So if we swapped our moon for the pocket-sized Phobos and Deimos, boop, paint it black. There'd hardly be anything in the night sky at all. Our new moons would basically look like bright-ish stars, or satellites zipping around in the sky. You wouldn't be able to pick them out of the constellations. Nighttime would be pitch black. Moonlight, as you know it, would disappear, which would wreak havoc on our nocturnal species across the globe. Good news for astronomers, but for everyone else, swapping out the moon with Phobos and Deimos would be a complete disaster. With hardly any comparable mass, well, the tides would almost be entirely driven by the sun. As oceanic tides drop dramatically, marine life would be so heavily affected that you could actually see the collapse of coastal ecosystems. This would change wind, waves, and global heat regulation. And worse, over millions of years, Earth would start to wobble wildly. Say that 10 times fast. Earth would start to wobble wildly. This means unpredictable seasons, ice ages, and droughts. Imagine the North Pole winding up at the equator for 50,000 years. Even more, and this one is wild, it could lead to the end of life on Earth as we know it, or at least an extinction level event. Phobos is slowly falling into Mars. It gets about 2 meters closer to Mars every century. That's 6 feet closer. In about 50 million years, it's either going to break up and shatter into a very small version of Saturn-like rings around the red planet, or it's going to crash directly into it. So if Phobos is our new moon, well, you'd be looking at a 27-kilometer wide moon asteroid plowing into us in slow motion. That could be twice as big as the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs. So, yeah, extinction. Gotta say, I prefer our current moon to these guys. Okay, next up, the final moon of this swapping list, Enceladus. Enceladus is a frozen ice ball spinning around the far rings of Saturn. But it's got something cooking under the hood. It's not just riding along on the rings, it's actively contributing to the creation of Saturn's outer E-ring. Yeah, Enceladus is spraying icy water particles and gas into space. What does that mean for you once we swap our moon for Saturn's? Enceladus is covered in fresh ice particles and snow, making it the whitest, most reflective surface in the solar system. So even though it's relatively small compared to our moon, it's still going to shine brilliantly. Nights would be dimmer, but nowhere near as dark as with the miniature moons of Mars. The problem with Enceladus, like any smaller moon we tag in, is that its mass is too small to create the same tidal forces that we're used to on Earth. You got it. So losing our moon and replacing it with Enceladus would essentially recreate the Phobos and Deimos disaster. Cue dramatic drops in oceanic tides, coastal catastrophes, and wild climate uncertainty. And eventually, unstable planet tilting. But at least you'd still be able to see at night. Though it wouldn't take long before all that ice started to sublimate and maybe melt. Enceladus's ice shell isn't nearly as thick as some of the bigger moons like Europa, so soon you could see oceans of water on our new moon. Hey, if it means we get another shot to see if life exists anywhere else in the solar system, I'm in. That's pretty cool.
Alright. Oh, new viewer. Yeah, you. Let's see. Very uncrossable just banned PBJ. Oh.
This is an Uncrustable sandwich. This is a regular peanut butter and jelly.
Alright, so I'm gonna check my laundry and see if it's fully dry. I'll just have the video playing for a bit. Alright, matinee.
This is an Uncrustable sandwich. This is a regular peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And this is illegal? Hello, Internet! Welcome to Food Theory, the channel that's all flavor and no crust. But I guess I should be careful, because now it looks like cutting the crust off your sandwich may get you into some hot water. Just to catch you up on what's the happy haps in the food world, J.M. Smucker, the jelly makers that graced the world with Uncrustables way back when— no, seriously, it's way further back than even I realized. 1998 was when they first started going by the name. But fast forward to now, and they're suing the grocery grocery store chain Trader Joe's for their Uncrustables. I've been seeing it all over my feeds because it's a pretty hilarious headline. I mean, what, making and selling peanut butter and jelly sandwiches is illegal now? It may seem like a ridiculous lawsuit, but there's an unfortunate reality for Smucker that's fueling their fight. They are in a jam, and if they don't take Trader Joe's down, they'll disappear like the crusts on their sandwiches. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll show you why. Now, in case you're like me and don't really dig peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, I know, shock and gasp, but I just didn't grow up with it. It's a pretty American thing, and by the time I was exposed to my first PB&J sandwich, I was underwhelmed. But if you're in my camp and don't care for, or even don't know about Uncrustables, they are ready-made frozen sandwiches made by J.M. Smucker, the mega corporation behind all sorts of jams, peanut butters, and coffees. The crustless PB&Js are a billion-dollar product for them, which is hilarious to me because you can just make them at home if you don't get sued in the process. Now they're making headlines because they're going after one of the biggest grocery store chains in the country, Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's honestly almost deserves an entire food theory episode in and of itself because oh man, the fan base this store has is crazy, and its meteoric rise in the grocery store chain food chain is astounding to me. Point is, this is the battle of two Goliaths here. But what exactly is going on? Is J.M. Smucker really just mad that someone else is selling peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? Is Trader Joe's breaking the law? Or is this all a desperate attempt to maintain control in a market that Smucker is finding themselves being pushed out of? Three questions, just like the three ingredients of a PB&J. Let's start with the first ingredient. On October 13th of this year, the case was officially filed against TJ's, claiming that their sandwiches were infringing on the trademarks that Uncrustables has to their name, from the bite on the packaging to the stylization of the logo on the box, and even the design of the sandwich itself. And yeah, at first glance, the two do share some similarities. Both boxes have a sandwich with a bite taken out of it, showing the ooey gooey center. But Uncrustables only has one where Trader Joe's has a stack of them, with only the top having a bite taken out. The angle, completely different. And the text is missing the subtle yet tasteful Uncrustables scrawled all over the front. On the surface, it seems weak. It's like Mountain Dew getting mad at Sprite because their cans are also green, despite the rest of the branding being completely different. Granted, I'm not a lawyer. There's probably a lot more that goes into this than just meets the eye. But if the argument is that customers may get confused, yeah, I'm not sold here just yet. The design of the sandwich itself is a better argument. I mean, look at those perfect edges all around. Now, let's talk sandwiches. I decided to get my hands on both of these to take a closer look at them and decide for myself. After accidentally eating a few with Claudia, for science, of course, I noticed that there were some striking similarities, but even more differences. For one, the Trader Joe's sandwiches aren't even round like Uncrustables. They're more squared off. And, more importantly, at least to this lawsuit, the crimping of the edges is completely different. The TJ's version has crimping that's shallow and inconsistent. If you turn one over, you can barely see the bumps of the crimp, where the Uncrustables has a really nice, aesthetically pleasing, consistent crimping all around the circular sandwich on both sides. At the end of the day, let's be real, they're both peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. 3 ingredients. How different can they really be? But you can see for yourself, the differences are there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Yay or nay? The reason even the slightest difference
I'm back.
in the shape and crimping are so important here is because Uncrustables is saying that these two things are part of the trademark they have, specifically the configuration of a round crustless sandwich, and separately, for some reason, the configuration of a round crustless sandwich with, quote, distinct peripheral undulated crimping. Undulated meaning a smooth, rising, and falling design. The Uncrustable sandwiches have those pronounced waves all around, where TJ's are definitely rougher around the edges. It's giving homemade, not pressed in a factory. Regardless of the small differences though, people online have referred to the Trader Joe's variety by the name Uncrustables, which is a big red flag for Smucker. And some others claim that Trader Joe's contracted the manufacturer of Uncrustables, which is Smucker in this.
Someone followed. Thank you for following. Where's my activity feed? But thank you for following. Welcome, welcome. How are you doing today? Hopefully you're doing well. And hope you enjoyed the stream. Wonder, It should say who's following. Where the fuck is it? Oh, okay. I want to see if. What is going on? If I test a hydrant myself, see. Okay, what's actually. Oh no, so. What's going on with the activity feed? Oh, real quick. That's not good. Uh. Profile. Oh, stream elements. Dog activity feed. Stream elements. Dog activity feed. Okay, so activity feed is actually not working on stream here, so I can't actually verify what's going on. Well, let me see on the BRB setting. So not exactly sure what's going on. Okay, stream elements. Docker. Media requests. Let's launch media request. Alright. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Multi-streaming. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but activity feed is not working on my end. I'm gonna double check here, see if it can kickstart it. But yeah, I think that's working. But everything's working, but I'm thinking that Stream Elements has broken a bit. Stream Elements. Let's see what's going on with Stream Elements here. No, this doesn't seem to be working. Okay, Stream Elements, come on. Where the fuck is... Okay, just trying to figure out what's going on with Stream Elements, because that's... Alright. Not exactly sure what's going on, but I'll try to figure out for next stream. If it's just a case of OBS fucking up and I just need to restart entirely of OBS, I might have to do that. I think I just yeah, for next stream anyway, see if it's actually gonna be working.
Case, you know,
So that means because OBS is fucking up with the activity feed, I won't be able to see who redeems it. I'll be able to see on like the multi-chat, but I won't able to see who is following, who's followed. Not exactly sure. Alright. Oh, you like I love OBS when OBS fucks up again.
the people who are suing them to make the same item, just Trader Joe's label. This is a huge issue, and actually a big point in Smucker's favor, because the TJ sandwiches don't originate from or are affiliated with Smucker in any way. But because of how similar they are, customers are clearly jumping to conclusions. The implications here are that Trader Joe's is directly profiting from the long-standing reputation of Smucker and their products by people believing that they're essentially the same thing. If anything, people might be more inclined to go have the non-Uncrustables, especially since, depending in your area, Trader Joe's sandwiches are up to $1 cheaper than Smucker's. It's easy to see how that would affect their sales. So far, it looks like Smucker may have a point, which leads us to the next ingredient. Is Trader Joe's breaking the law then? Well, not necessarily. And one of their biggest arguments here is that there's only so many ways you can skin a cat, or crimp a sandwich, I guess. If they can successfully argue that it's a functional thing, meaning it's just what you gotta do to close a crustless sandwich and not something that can be trademarked, then they have a solid defense. But the biggest thing they have in their corner is actually the exact opposite of what Smucker is claiming. Their branding. Almost everything in their stores is Trader Joe's labeled. Very few big brands get to sit on their shelves, and the customers know that. If you go and see waffles there, a customer will assume that it's not Eggos, it's Joe Goes. Yeah, okay, fine, they're just called waffles, but the point stands. On top of that, Trader Joe's has a very strong reputation, not just for selling its private label dupes, but for the quality of those dupes. When people go to shop at Trader Joe's, it's not to get big brand items for cheaper, it's to get Trader Joe's items, still for cheaper. Take the sandwiches in question. Trader Joe's version not only has less calories, but less sugar, less sodium, and more protein than the Uncrustables. But obviously, I'm gonna have to try them both out for myself. All right, so here we are with our Uncrustables and the mangled peanut butter and jelly sandwich I made for the opening. Now, I mentioned in the VO, I think I've had one
Mangled peanut butter and jelly. I just fucking love that.
peanut butter and jelly sandwich 20 years ago. So I was like 6 years old when I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for the first time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you do your weird thing of like peanut butter and
More peanut butter.
no, and dry oats like a crazy person.
Oh, okay. Now, first of all, total hack. If you like peanut butter sandwiches like I do, put like
She's
a
so
scoop
confused.
of oatmeal. Like, okay, I've been told it's not oatmeal. Just rolled oats in there gives it a nice little crunch and a texture.
It's like the dry, old-fashioned oats that are like, they take all moisture out of your mouth with the sticky peanut butter and the dry bread, just all that dryness.
The point is, I, growing up abroad, and for whatever reason, just never really had a PB&J sandwich that I really remember. So I'm actually really excited, A, to try the peanut butter and jelly sandwich that I made as a control for me, and then try the Uncrustables and then the Trader Joe's sandwiches to like compare to a homemade one.
I love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Usually strawberry jelly, but like right now we have this like berry mix-up of different berries, delicious.
Super fancy. Super fancy.
And I love Uncrustables.
I'm gonna take a bite of my homemade Uncrustable here with just regular old peanut butter and jelly. So
I was gonna make a joke, but I don't think YouTube will like it. Oh, it's a peanut butter joke.
so off-putting to me, the two textures and the two flavors of
It's
peanut butter and jelly.
Perfect. It's a perfect combination. Also, like, who knows how you prepared it? I should have prepared it.
I put a lot of peanut butter.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously. Your face.
Man, I love some bread with my peanut butter.
So should we start with the Uncrustables?
Let's do
the classic?
Uncrustables first. Yeah, the classic.
So yeah, the pillowiness of this is insane. The edges, the crimped edges are perfect, up and down,
Ooh.
like perfectly. It's honestly, it looks like a work of art.
Ding.
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 A lot of jello. Jelly, not Jello.
It's perfect.
I could see why kids would like this.
The bread is elite.
I want them to just sell the bread.
Yeah, it's like
know,
that good,
sell
like,
the bread.
bad for you bread.
If this is bad, I don't want to be good. I don't know. It's just for me.
Exactly.
It's a lot of jelly for you.
It's a lot of jelly.
Yeah.
It's a lot of jelly. There's only a little bit of peanut. I feel like the Uncrustables is the exact opposite. No, for me,
You're
the
good.
Uncrustables is almost the exact opposite
Santi, are you good? Are you dying on us? Please don't die on us, Santi.
of the peanut butter and jelly sandwich that I made, where
Yeah,
it's
but your
way more jelly.
Your preparation is atrocious. Like, that's not a good baseline.
Atrocious.
These are the Trader Joe's totally not Uncrustables, the ones that they're getting sued for. So it's actually really interesting. You can see the seam of the two different sandwich halves here, and the crimping is absolutely like uneven in the sense that like one side you don't see anything, the other side you see the crimping. But even then it's like square, it's like
Yeah.
it looks rougher.
Well, and it looks like more like bread you would buy, right? Like, this is
Yeah.
our home bread, and this is Trader Joe's. Like, it looks more like the bread. Like, this one is like factory made.
Yeah, it's like bread on, yeah, it's bread product. Oh, whoa. This,
Big difference.
but see, this is my kind of sandwich. Way more peanut butter.
Dang, this is good.
This is good.
So the taste of the inside of this is overall better.
And it's a visual difference, like a huge visual difference. You see what
Imagine big companies start lobbying to take down Trader Joe, building businesses, even though that would think be straight up illegal and be immediate grounds for multiple antitrust class action lawsuits.
way more jelly in the Uncrustables. Like on both Uncrustables, it's very jelly forward. Whereas the Trader Joe's, it's a lot of peanut butter with some jelly.
So what's your pick overall, if you had to choose one?
Trader Joe's.
Okay. For me, it's a close call. Also, the Trader Joe's one, you have to thaw for like an hour.
Yeah.
Whereas the Uncrustable one, you thaw for what, 30?
Half an hour.
Half an
Yeah.
hour, so you gotta think more ahead with the other one. But overall, I would go with the Trader Joe's one just for the flavor of the filling. Even though the bread is not as great, I would still go with the Trader Joe's one.
Quality of the ingredients aside, those are much more desirable macros for consumers. Someone going to buy those crustless sandwiches isn't doing it because they think it's Uncrustables, especially not in Trader Joe's of all places. Whether they're infringing on the trademark or not will have to be determined by people who spent way more time in school than me though. But this leads us to our final ingredient in this PB and
Corpos spending more time suing other people for making a product that is remotely similar to them. Remember when that one YouTuber tried to patent reaction videos? Yeah, that didn't go well. Remember Nintendo tried to patent video games? The concept of video games as a whole? Yeah, that didn't go well either, plus a antitrust lawsuit on top of that.
J sandwich of legal drama. Why is Smucker's fighting so hard on this? Because it's not the first time they get themselves into a lawsuit over it. In 2020, they sent a cease and desist to a small startup based out of Los Angeles, Chubby Snacks. Then, 3 years ago in 2022, they sent another cease and desist to a startup company in Minneapolis, Gallant Tiger, over the exact same thing. Wicked name, BT dubs. Now, to be fair, that wasn't a full-blown lawsuit, and as far as I could find, it never became one. In fact, it sort of just went away. Granted, it went away after Gallant Tiger clapped back by saying their product is too high quality to be confused with Uncrustables. Friggin' amazing! And as of today, Gallant Tiger is still.
You know what small business should do? It should go to small claims court and tell them that Uncrustables is trying to patent the concept of a round a round PBJ sandwich and not let anyone else make a PBJ sandwich round at all. Will not make a round one, the concept of round PBJ sandwich. Uncrustables is pretty much on the fast track to a antitrust lawsuit at this point.
Operating in their locations, and Smucker never pressed for legal action. Trader Joe's is a massive nationwide chain, so
they probably didn't press for legal action because at the time around that lawsuit, the government was investigating Uncrustables for multiple multiple accounts of antitrust practices.
I understand that, but why go after a small startup in Minneapolis? Simply put, if Smucker doesn't stop these similar products, their business is in big trouble. Over the last 20 years, Smucker has invested over $1 billion in the Uncrustable brand, taking it from $12 million in sales to almost $1 billion in sales every year. It accounts for 1/10 of their annual revenue. If that starts to go down, it's a big hit to their company in a time where their dog snack and other baked goods departments are struggling. Their Golden Goose being sold by other companies and arguably made better is something they literally can't afford. So whenever something pops up that might be a threat, they go full force on the offensive. Their lawsuits also line up with periods of slow or even negative growth for the company, which makes sense. They see their numbers start to shrink, and when a competitor comes onto the market, they squash it out of panic that their profits are going downhill. Smucker knows that if they let Uncrustable slip, the entire empire might all go crumbling down like a stale PB&J sandwich. And while before they were up against small startups that couldn't match their reach or even price point, Trader Joe's is a fight they might not be able to win. It'll probably be a lengthy battle, and we don't know which way it'll go. But if Smucker doesn't come out on top, even if they just settle and it goes away quietly, they may see their dominance in the market start to shrink slowly, and their billion-dollar investment might leave them in a sticky situation. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Buen provecho.
I love food theory. Now time for style theory. Let's go. Style theory, style theory. All right, here we go. Come on. Entire history of goth fashion. Oh. Okay, there's actually... Alright, that's quite a bit. I missed quite a bit, so... Let's go. Yeah. Okay, good. Let's fucking go. Alright.
Halloween might be over, but according to Gen Z, the goths are here to stay. Over the past year, TikTok has really embraced its dark side. But did you know that goth didn't start with Hot Topic and alt music? Instead, the answer goes back nearly 2,000 years.
Ooh.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Style Theory, the show that
Style
knows that
Theory.
it's not just a phase, Mom. Ugh, you just don't get me. Goth, emo, e-girl, punk, each generation has had their moment with alternative stylings. And right now, Gen Z is loving the black. Whether it's because of new media like Wednesday on Netflix, or people just looking for a new way to express themselves, people are embracing their inner goth. But this has caused some discourse online about whether or not Gen Z should be able to consider themselves real goth.
How about I propose a one-up? E-goths. Combination of e-girl and goths.
We hate to see it, but here's the thing. Whether you're a new goth or an old goth, you are all wrong. Just wait a second and hear me out.
Whether you like to channel the Adams aesthetic or take your inspiration from Gothic architecture, the truth of what makes goth, well, goth, is actually a lot more complicated.
This has become my Roman Empire, and I mean that literally. This dates back to the Roman Empire. So grab your
Oh.
black lipstick and your Germanic capes, because we are about to find out what it means to be a real goth, and settle the debate about whether or not Gen Z can actually lay claim to the name.
Okay, this is good.
Here's a question. You find yourself alone in a dark alley. Do you choose the goth or the bear? Well, what about a gothic barbarian? The beginning of our gothic story
Funny.
takes us all the way back, like way, way back to the first couple centuries CE.
This was the twilight
Not that Twilight.
years of the Roman Empire when it was still spread all across the Mediterranean.
But just north of the empire, there were various independent tribes rebelling against Roman rule.
Among these tribes of barbarians, as the Romans like to call them, were people such as the Vandals, the Angles, and of course, a little group known as the Goths.
Now, I know I seem like I'm all about that goth life, but can I tell you a secret? I actually really love the looks from the 1920s. Listen, if I thought I could rock a drop waist and pin curls all year long, I
Nice.
totally would. Goth just tends to fit me better. Now, the goths from around the time of the Roman Empire are not the skinny jean wearing, eyeliner loving goths that we know today, though the idea might not actually be that far off. Unfortunately, most of what we could know about these early goths has been lost to time, and what we do know is through the lens of the Romans, who weren't exactly the biggest fans of the OG goths. Like, you know, calling them barbarians. It's not nice. But based on what we do know about what other tribes in the area would have worn, goths were likely rocking one very scandalous item: pants. Wait, what? Well, to the toga and tunic wearing Romans, the idea of pants was scandalous and, of course, barbaric.
Northern tribes, including the Goths, likely wore pants similar to this. These are known as Thorsberg trousers, named for the town in which a pair was discovered. These pants would have been made of wool and
They had little attached socks like dance tights. Can you imagine wearing these to your next emo night rave because they are the most historically accurate? Iconic. I can't. But due to this and their several centuries worth of conflict with the Roman Empire, Romans really started to see wearing pants as uncivilized. In fact, their disdain for
Oh.
pants was so strong, during the reign of Emperor Honorius, he put out a decree that said this: within this venerable city, no person should be allowed to appropriate to himself the use of boots or trousers. And the Goths were all like, first you came for my pants, and now you're coming for my boots? Those are fighting words. Over the centuries, Goths and Romans continued to butt heads and fists.
Ooh.
in 410 CE, Gothic King Alaric I sacked the city of Rome, which many consider to be the beginning of the end for the Western Roman Empire. It would officially fall just a few decades later.
The collapse of Rome not only ended Rome's 1,000-year reign, but it ushered in a new era of history, one that you might have heard of. Nowadays, we tend to refer to this period of time as the Dark Ages. Yeah, the Goths were partially responsible for bringing about the Dark Ages, which... so on brand. And you
Whoa,
bet that those
nice.
Goths took over the remains of the Roman Empire faster than a spirit Halloween.
Gothic kingdoms like the Visigoths in modern-day Spain and France and the Ostrogoths in modern-day Italy sprang up in the wake of Rome's fall.
And so did a new sense of style.
While Romans were described as wearing long, white silk tunics, the Visigoths, for example, were said to have worn multicolored and embellished tunics that ended just above the knee. These were then paired with tall furred boots and capes.
And it wasn't just their clothes. Hair was
Oh.
also a huge part of Goth culture, as it always is.
Goth men and women alike would have kept their hair long, oftentimes using it to cover their ears with thick braids.
In fact, hair was
Oh.
so important to Gothic culture that cutting someone's hair was the ultimate sign of disrespect. Remember, always get consent before cutting someone's hair. And just like the Goths of today, accessorizing was
Yes, thank you, YouTube, for almost banning style theory as a whole because of that disclaimer. Thank you.
extremely important.
Many pieces of Gothic jewelry have been discovered over the centuries, including highly elaborate brooches for fastening cloaks and tunics together,
Ooh.
as well as very elaborate belt buckles.
No, I'm not kidding.
Oh, really?
Almost every single source that I used in researching this episode mentioned how Goths wore intricate belt buckles laced with glass and stone, which, if you think about it, is not too different from the Gothic fixation on belts today, with many modern Goths wearing multiple belts, studded belts, and the occasional seatbelt belt.
Nice.
However, all good things must eventually come to an end. And by 500 to 700 CE, the Goths were well on their way out. Now, this should have been where Goth just died out, but where the people were gone, the term lived on. All thanks to one very critical Renaissance hipster.
The Goth resistance.
If you were paying attention earlier, you'll remember that the fall of the Western Roman Empire and the subsequent rise of the Goths was the start of the Dark Ages. But they weren't called the Dark Ages due to a dark sense of fashion. It was all down to the loss of information. Much of the information and technological advancements made by the Roman Empire was considered to be lost, especially those in the area of architecture. This style included arches, vaulted ceilings, columns, you know, that sort of thing.
Instead, what emerged was a totally new style of architecture, one that emphasized large stained glass windows, pointed arches, and flying buttresses.
Which,
Ooh.
no, does not have anything to do with a person's, assets. A buttress is a piece of architecture that helps support a building to keep it from collapsing.
At the time, this style of building design went by many names, such as French, German, modern, or even New Work, but not, as you might have guessed, Gothic.
By this time, the Goths had been long gone for centuries, or at least they were, until the Renaissance, when Italian painter Giorgio Vasari came along.
The Renaissance, or rebirth, was a time where scientists and artists alike rediscovered and became obsessed with the culture of the now ancient Greeks and Romans.
AKA they preferred the old school stylings over the modern. Kind of like a hipster. This included
Nice.
Vasari, who really loved the classical symmetrical look of Roman architecture, and equally
Ooh.
didn't like the look of modern architecture, which he considered ugly and, well, barbaric. And so he gave it the insulting name of Gothic. And while he meant for that term to be an insult to current popular stylings, it stuck. And to this day, we refer to the art, the architecture, and even the entire time period as the Gothic period. Yeah, the dude was trying to drag the Goths, and in trying to do that, he instead made sure that they lived on forever. Talk about being the
Nice.
world's worst hater. So while the people of the time probably wouldn't consider themselves Goths, they are by our historical standards. And so we need to take a look at what they were wearing, which is a little tough because we're talking about a 400-year time span across an entire continent. But in general, out were the baggy tunics of the past.
What if, hear me out, what if Gothic Roman?
And in were tighter form-fitting garments.
Women, regardless of their social status, would wear a long linen garment called a chemise as a bottom layer. This underdress typically went past the knees and had sleeves that went past the elbows, with a sometimes low and wide neckline. Over top the chemise, women would wear one or more cotardi, which were long garments that were fitted around the bodice using string.
Or the new kid on the block that was gaining all the attention, buttons.
Commoner men would also
Nice.
wear variations of the coat, while the upper class, especially the ones in the later Gothic Middle Ages, would begin to wear a thing called doublets. These were fitted garments made of 2 layers that also cinched via strings and buttons.
Also during this time period, the church started to have more and more influence over the day-to-day lives and clothes of regular people.
Unmarried women would also start to wear their hair down, but they would then cover their hair with a veil once they got married. Men, on the other hand, would typically cut their hair into a bob-like style.
During this time, heavy makeup was considered heavily frowned upon,
Nice.
and so the ladies had to improvise.
Women of the time would whip up mixtures of roots and berries to make a makeshift lipstick and rouge to add a little bit of natural color. Without being too obvious, you added a little something something. While at the same time, Gothic men were free to dye their hair.
Yep, but it was not the black Gothic hair that you might be thinking. Instead, these because men were going blonde. Again, this time period was only called Gothic retroactively, and by people who didn't mean it as a compliment. And while living through the Black Death does sound very goth, it wasn't quite a fun time to be alive. But that didn't stop the people of the future from looking back at ye old goths and going, oh my god, super cool.
Fast forward to the late 1700s, and those Gothic buildings that were once considered new and hot are now just so old school. But that didn't stop people from being enamored with this retro style, even trying to bring it back and sparking what is now known as the Gothic revival.
But it wasn't just the builders who were loving this renewed interest in all things Gothic. The writers were also getting in on it.
Part of the wider Romanticism movement, which broadly celebrated the
Instead of Gothic revival, can we just call it New Goth? Or New Gothic?
details of nature, a new genre of literature was born, the Gothic novel. Gothic novels preyed on the reader's fear, contained supernatural or paranormal events, and were often set in abandoned castles.
For all you book talkers in the audience, consider this almost a predecessor to your modern day horror like Stephen Graham Jones or your dark academia.
The first of these Gothic novels was a 1764 book by Horace Walpole called The Castle of Otranto, later with the added subtitle of A Gothic Story,
which Walpole decided to write after having a nightmare in his castle that was done in the style of Gothic revival.
The Gothic genre would continue to evolve thanks to the work of some very talented female authors, such as Anne Radcliffe, Mary Shelley, and the Bronte sisters. Gothic novels would remain popular throughout the Victorian era, so much so that the idea of Victorian and Goth sort of became intermixed, even inspiring the idea of Victorian Goths today. In fact, many of the traits that we now associate with Goths, like pale skin and dark clothes, owe a lot to the horrors happening outside of the pages.
You see, between the disease and the industrial accidents and the contaminated water, the Victorian era was just kind of a sucky place to live.
Not only were childhood death rates still extremely high, there was an increasing percentage of women becoming widows.
And becoming a widow was its own kind of fashion statement.
At the time, it was customary for grieving widows to wear what was known as a mourning dress. These were all black gowns, complete with veils, hats, and even every vampire's favorite daytime accessory, the parasol.
But it wasn't just the everyday woman wearing mourning attire during the Victorian era. The Queen
Also, thank you developers of Resident Evil 8 for introducing Vampire Lady.
herself embraced her dark side.
After the death of her husband in 1861, Queen Victoria herself began to wear mourning attire and made the guests at her home do the same. And this wasn't just for the 2 years that was customary for women at the time. The Queen wore these all-black fits for the final 40 years of her life.
And as you can imagine, once the Queen does it, it's gonna get pretty popular. So popular, in fact, that it turned from mourning attire to an entire fashion movement. I mean, here's a page out of the December 1901 issue of Vogue. And yes, I do mean that Vogue. This page depicts mourning attire as an actual fashion piece. And then there was the makeup. You know that expression that beauty is pain? Well, the Victorian era really embraced that aesthetic.
One of the popular makeup styles at the time aimed for an extremely pale complexion paired with rouged cheeks.
Do you want to know why this look was so in fashion? Do you? Well, it's because everyone was trying to achieve that gorgeous tuberculosis look. Oh my god, John Green was right. Everything is tuberculosis. And speaking of death, many of the cosmetics of the time were actually pretty deadly.
Many makeup products at the time contained toxic ingredients such as lead, arsenic, radium, and even belladonna.
Yeah, there's a reason it's called Deadly Nightshade. Now, fast forward all the way to the 20th century, where the Gothic novels of the past were now being adapted for the silver screen, a movement which cemented a brand new term, the horror goth.
You had movie stars stars like Lucille Lund and 𝙂𝙚𝙧𝙖𝙀, alongside stage actresses like Sarah Bernhardt.
Listen, she may not be a movie star, but if you are a fan of all things goth, you need to know Sarah Bernhardt.
Bernhardt was famous for wearing stuffed bats in her hair, sleeping in coffins, and she even kept all sorts of wild animals at her house, including but not limited to cheetahs, monkeys, and an alligator named Ali Gaga.
You know who also does
Ali
that?
Gaga.
Modern goth icons like Morticia and Wednesday Addams. So far on our journey, we've seen the terms goth and gothic take inspiration.
Oh,
So does that? Modern goth icons like Morticia and Wednesday Addams.
nice.
So far on our journey, we've seen the terms goth and gothic take inspiration from multiple different sources: history, art, architecture, literature, and now even film and TV.
The original Addams Family television show premiered in 1964, bringing their unique take on family values and fashion ensembles into homes everywhere.
But the creepy couture didn't really start to hit the mainstream until a few years later. Let me set the scene.
It's 1967. A music critic named John Stickney has been assigned the task of reviewing this new rock band that seems to have been gaining a very big following. The room is dark, and the lead singer comes in dressed all in black and leather. And they're singing about things that are malevolent, satanic, electric, and on fire.
This was The Doors and their lead singer Jim Morrison,
Ooh.
who all would go on to become the face of a new wave of music called Gothic rock. Goth was no longer just a term for a historical tribe or an old school architecture. It was a genre.
A genre that also included bands like the Velvet Underground, as well as vocalists like David Bowie and Iggy Pop.
But while these bands don't quite look like the goths that we know today, by the 80s, that was all about to change. The Cure to The Damned, the OG Susie Sue, they all were standardizing the look and sound of what it meant to be goth.
While the leather jacket of Jim Morrison still stuck around, the goth look also began to incorporate things like big hair and dark smoky eyeshadow. And by the time the 90s rolled around, things like the miniskirt, skinny jeans, and black lipstick were also popular with the growing subculture.
This is what many consider the birth of the classic goth, and where the debate about what makes a real goth starts to enter the chat.
By the 2000s, colors like red and green had also entered into their goth era, and the once unified look began to branch out into more niche aesthetics.
Some goths wore their eyebrows very thin and stylized, while others just shaved them off. And then you had the mall goth.
As goth culture became more popular and more mainstream, the fashion industry had to find a way to cash in. Stores like Hot Topic, who catered to the goth, emo, and punk scenes, began to reach peak popularity in shopping malls all across the country.
And with the rise of the internet,
Yeah.
more and more niches started to emerge. Ones that all had a different presentation of what goth should look like. You have pastel goth, Lolita goth, cyber goth, Victorian goth, e-girls, e-boys, emos, punk, and those are only the tip of the goth fashion iceberg. But are these new wave aesthetics actually goth? Well, that actually takes us all the way back to Gen Z and the question that started this whole episode. What exactly counts as real goth?
As we've seen throughout this episode and throughout goth's almost 2,000 years of history, there is no right way to dress like a goth. And that is because goth hasn't been just about one group. It's been about the evolution of an idea. Rebellion! The original goths helped collapse an empire that oppressed them. Their architecture changed the literal landscape of history. And gothic novelists went against the mainstream, not just by letting more women have a voice, but by using supernatural and the macabre to examine the flaws of humanity.
And even if we just look at the history of goth in a modern sense, that idea still holds true.
Goth rock was a counter to bands like the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. The Addams Family, who was literally made to be an opposing example of the nuclear family, showcased a loving, albeit spooky, way of life.
With each new generation of goth, the looks and the makeup and the vibes all changed. Goth, both the aesthetic and the lifestyle, has always been about evolution. So if you're out there taking the traditional rules of goth fashion and adding putting your own spin, well, I don't think there's anything more goth than that.
But hey, that's just a theory. A style theory. Keep looking sharp.
Honestly, pretty much anything could look goth with the right material, and I guess the thing, just form your own kind of goth kind of thing. You know, you don't have to just stick with a strictly a strict aesthetic, as you can see already seen in the video. Just do your thing. Maybe not.
Can someone tell me when Halloween went from this to this? 𝙂𝙚 𝘼𝙗. To find out how Halloween got so hot, we need to expose some haunted history. Hello Internet, welcome to Style Theory, the show that celebrates Halloween every day, because it's a lifestyle. Duh. Though, have you noticed how Halloween costumes have gotten a little bit, spicy as of late?
What are you? I'm a mouse. Duh.
However, if you're looking to dress a little spicy this spooky season, you're not limited to animals, minerals,
Or even vegetation. I give you sexy
Nice.
Yes, I know, that's 2 Mean Girls clips in a row, but what can I say? They really understood the assignment. Also, that is one of the best songs from the entire musical. Fight Me. And no, I am not shaming anyone who wants to be a risque Jaws or what have you for Halloween this year. Your body is your body, so do you, just have fun and be safe.
Exactly.
But for today, I want to figure out how this seems to have become the Halloween costume standard. Let's be real, it's kind of harder nowadays to find a non-spicy version of a costume than the spicy version. But for us to find out Halloween's answer to
When did you get it hot?
we have to take a little trip back in time. Gather around, ghouls, because we are about to discover where this all started, why it became so popular, and how these spicy costumes might actually be more in the spirit of the season than you would ever expect. When Halloween first started to become the holiday that we know today, adults were not welcome.
Silly rabbit.
Halloween's
For kids.
By the way, if you want a super
Nice.
in-depth history into the origin of Halloween costumes, we actually have a video for that right here on the channel. But for today, we are just going to be
Ooh.
making a pit stop in the 1950s to see where Halloween parties really got started.
The 1950s was a big time for change for not only Americans, but the world at large. People were dealing with the fallouts of both world wars and the years of sugar rationing, meaning a time where access to sugar was extremely hard to come by and expensive when you could get it.
But this is where the Halloween that we know today really started to take shape. You know, the cheap mass-produced costumes, the trick-or-treating,
Yeah.
parties, games. If Halloween, this is my job, and that's amazing.
Back in the 1950s, when Halloween parties were just starting to become a normal thing, it was considered a kids' holiday. While adults would dress up, it was often just to accompany their kids to parties or trick-or-treating.
But that all started to change around the early 1970s. You see, back in the day, there were a lot of laws about what you could or could not wear. And I don't mean in the school dress code kind of way. Well, actually, they kind of were.
Where school dress codes were historically used to police what students wore, they did typically target specific groups, like girls, non-white ethnicities, and subcultures. These old-time laws operated in a similar way. The restrictions would usually not affect the everyday person who dressed in line with conservative values and stereotypical gender roles.
Yeah, these laws were really made to target groups of others, specifically those in the LGBTQIA+ community. Dang! Halloween has finally cemented itself as
see
a
here.
holiday that could be enjoyed by both kids and adults alike. Though, to be clear, in very different and separate ways. You don't need this to be a Kendrick Lamar Halloween remix, okay? Now, given the adults' new
Yeah.
love of dressing up for Halloween, you would think that this would be that spicy costume boom that we've been looking for. But you would be wrong. In reality, the Halloween costumes of the 1980s were preoccupied with a very different aesthetic. Horror movies.
Pardon.
Slasher movies like Halloween, Friday the 13th, and A Nightmare on Elm Street not only set a foundation for the modern
Ooh.
horror movie, but they also shaped the sorts of Halloween costumes that people wanted to wear.
Yeah, I remember many kids in the neighborhood wearing Freddy Krueger and Jason costumes.
No longer were people content with just being a goblin, ghoul, or ghost. Now they wanted to be Michael, Jason, or Freddy. No, not that Freddy. So
Michael
I did
Jason.
actually get to meet Freddy Fazbear on my recent trip to Halloween Horror Nights and go to his infamous pizzeria to try the pizza. It was kind of iconic. And no, I'm not sponsored. I just really, really love Halloween, okay? Anyway, I was talking about the other killer Freddy, Freddy Krueger. While slashers surged in popularity both in cinemas and in costumes, so did a love of all things spooky. And here's the thing, this is the point in our timeline where the ideas of spooky and sexy really started to mix and mingle. And there were two key factors that really caused this meeting of the mind.
One was the horror movies themselves. While the big bads were not exactly made with attractiveness in mind,
Unless that's your thing, which I don't judge, but I do recommend therapy.
I do
the
recommend
women of
therapy.
horror, both victims and final
Hold on,
I
pause.
do recommend therapy.
Nervous giggle.
The women of horror, both victims and final girls alike, were often depicted as very conventionally attractive and in
Ew.
various states of
Yeah,
dress.
there you
Now,
go.
your mileage may vary on if these depictions were done in good taste, but they did inspire female fans to embrace their dark side and get into a spooky mindset. As Halloween historian Leslie
Spooky
Benetine said to
mind.
Pop Sugar, costume trends reflect who we are and what we value, what fascinates us, or what scares us.
Question, how do I become a Halloween historian? Because that sounds like such a cool job. And speaking of cool jobs, the other factor to add a little va-va-voom to the
Oh.
equation was the mistress of the dark. Elvira was, and still is in my opinion, the queen of Halloween.
Elvira, played by Cassandra Peterson,
I
was the
remember.
host of a local LA TV show called Elvira's Movie Macabre, which aired from 1981 to 1986. In it, she would show the audience a low-budget horror or sci-fi film, and in between, Elvira would make jokes or comments about the movie.
If you're familiar with Mystery Science Theater, the format is pretty similar.
She also became the face and spokesperson for an adult beverage brand, which led to standees of her appearing in grocery stores across the country.
Listen, everything about Elvira was designed to be eye-catching.
From the tip of her beehive hairstyle to the dangerously low-cut bottom of her staple bell sleeve dress, everything about her was meant to make a statement and cause conversation.
And
Okay,
it
there we go.
did. Many people wanted to be just like Elvira, myself included. I mean, come on, having your job be a Halloween icon? What's not to want?
Halloween was now being marketed as a time to be
Yep.
sexy, and retailers were ready to help a person out. Not only did they start offering versions of Elvira's sexy costume for the Halloween season, there was also a rise in other popular female characters like Princess Leia and Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, that is that scene in Star Wars. Oh no. BDSM.
1992 Catwoman, who also served as huge costume inspiration.
Specifically the outfits from the Jabba the Hutt scene and the skin-tight catsuit, respectively. Both of which are, without a doubt, a bit steamy.
And as we entered into the 2000s, sexy Halloween became a staple of pop culture, with movies like Legally Blonde and Mean Girls making direct references to the phenomenon.
In girl world, Halloween is the one night a year when a girl can dress like a total and no other girls can say anything about it.
Now, that point of view is a little dated. Remember, it's your body,
Lol.
your costume choice.
But it wasn't just fictional characters making a spicy splash in our costume history.
Yeah.
In the early 2000s, there were three main pop culture players that really helped the mainstream embrace their spicy side.
Player one, Playboy.
The controversial company entered what we'll call its golden years, thanks in large part to the unexpected success of the show Girls Next Door, which heavily featured many spicy looks, including one
I definitely don't have my own Playboy crop top or anything.
specifically centered around the Halloween season. I mean, Bridget was an OG spicy Halloween girly. I remember that calendar photo shoot. Don't think I don't.
Then you had Player two.
Lingerie brand Victoria's Secret was also making waves with its fashion show and inspiring the masses to dress like a Victoria's Secret angel. Yeah, lingerie and wings became and still remain a popular last-minute costume.
One notable family to hop on this trend, well, that would just happen to be player number three, the Kardashians.
Not only did the sisters show up as a fleet of Victoria's Secret angels in 2018,
Oh, and by the way, they were sporting the official runway looks, which is wild.
they gained a
Ooh.
reputation of having show-stopping Halloween costumes every year, most of which fell into that spicy costume category.
Here's the thing. Whether
Yeah.
or not you're a fan of Kim and the Kardashian clan, it's impossible to ignore their impact on popular fashion and popular Halloween costumes. So that's our answer, right? We can just
Yeah.
blame Hollywood for turning Halloween into Halloween. Well,
Halloween.
yes, but also no.
Okay, that's it. For the kids, it's Halloween, but for us adults, it's Halloween.
See, that's only part of the answer. While mainstream Halloween culture had evolved to embrace the lingerie plus style of Halloween costumes,
The hardcore girls just wear lingerie and some form of animal ears.
that is only part of the answer. How did we
Oh.
go from variations on the Playboy Bunny to sexy Bob Ross and Mr. Rogers? Oh yeah,
Mhm.
these are both real. Well, it turns out that when it comes to
Wait,
the
what?
Ross and Mr. Rogers, oh yeah,
Barbara. Like how they massacred my boys, but also, not gonna lie, I would wear those.
these are both real. Well, it turns out that when it comes to the questionable costume decisions of the past, present, and future, you don't have to blame it on the alcohol. You can blame it on the candy. Or, in this case, the
Oh?
yandy. Right around this time of every year, we start to see dozens and dozens of articles pop up counting down the most ridiculous costumes to come out this year. Well, what if I told you that there's really just one company responsible for all of those spicified costumes that you see on social media? Everyone say hello to Yandy.
Yandy originally started selling only lingerie, but within the first year of business, they pivoted to add sexy Halloween costumes into their growing product catalog.
Which,
Ooh.
based on everything that we've seen today, isn't that much of a pivot. Yandy really came into its notoriety era thanks to its questionable costumes that it puts out every year that always seem to wind up on social media, for better or worse.
Some general hits include
I swear, I am not making any of these up.
sexy banana bread, sexy band TikTok, and of course, the tater thought.
And before you ask,
The tater
yes,
thought.
Yandy is responsible for those sexy Bob Ross and Mr. Rogers costumes that we saw earlier.
Okay, where can I get the Bob Ross and Mr. Roger costumes? Anyone, please?
You know, the ones that are definitely going to pop up in my next therapy session. Remember, Amy, sexy Bob Ross isn't real. Sexy Bob Ross can't hurt you.
Oh no.
But if none of
Wow.
those are to your taste, you can check out their fresh selection for 2025.
Which include but are not limited to sexy Cookie Monster, sexy Aquaman, sexy Care Bear, sexy Scooby-Doo, and
Wait, is that a sexy Patrick Star? And yes, while there are spicy costumes out there for everyone, it does tend to skew towards female
Where the fuck is Sandy Cheeks at, huh?
demographics.
a study from Westchester State University found that 88% of women's costumes showed excessive skin compared to just 16% of men's. And when it came to which gender had more skin-tight costumes, well, it was more of the same. The study also found
Yeah.
that costumes marketed towards women were more likely to contain language about looking cute, sexy, or pretty, while costumes marketed towards men used words like strong and tough.
Yep! Turns out the candy you're getting in your trick-or-treat basket isn't a Tootsie Roll, it's a gender roll.
Oofers.
But there is one really positive case for the silly yet spicy costume. Now, real talk. I have not gone to many Halloween parties where these costumes were actually being worn. And if they were, it was usually meant as a joke. So is that the goal here? Is Yandy really just doing this for the memes? Well, actually, yeah. As Yandy's former
Yeah.
VP of marketing once said in an interview,
Did you laugh? Did you have a giggle at it? You know, that's our main goal.
well, in that case, you nailed it. Because this has built Yandy a sustainable business model.
Honestly, this Yandy is a company about shit posting, and I'm all for it.
that shows no signs of slowing down.
These kinds of sexy Halloween costumes aren't relying on attraction to sell. They are leaning into humor and shock value. Why? Well, because these costumes help tap into our innate human desire for connection.
No, really, I am being completely serious. Just hear me out.
You've likely heard the phrase, laughter is the best medicine. But did you know it's also a huge factor in creating human connection? Laughter releases endorphins into our brain. Endorphins are the hormones that our body uses to help decrease our feelings of pain and stress, which means that they also help increase our feelings of happiness and well-being. And when that laughter and endorphin release happens in a group setting, multiple studies have found that it can help people form stronger social bonds.
I know, right? Your crazy spicy Halloween costumes can actually affect your brain chemistry.
Okay, that's cool. But also, I still can't get over the Sexy Rogers and Sexy Bob Ross. I gotta get this costumes.
And help you make friends in the process. I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty spooky to me.
But hey, that's just a theory, a style theory. Happy Halloween! Up next on Style Theory.
Nice.
Detention! You have violated the school dress code, as have you.
Okay, that's cool. Anywho. Here we go. Where is it? There it is. Alright. Alright. That being said, I could probably end today's stream here. I just want to say that that was pretty so again, I still can't get over sexy Mr. Rogers and sexy Bob Ross. That is something in it happen that I'm pretty much interested in buying. Because come on, it's Mr. Rogers and it's Bob Ross. What more can you want? Anywho, I think for just rest now, you're just gonna just try to relax, and especially since well, more work tomorrow. So yeah. Anywho, I just want to say thank you everyone for joining today's stream. My name is Brandon Blitz. I'm a Friday streamer. I stream a lot of video games, chat suggests me, as well as I draw art, I do coding, and hopefully I'll stream with 3D models to everyone here. Sooner or later, actually. And with that being said, I gotta get going up, Blitzies. Bye bye, Matane.